Hotels often don't have a 13th floor because they think number 13 is unlucky. A fear known as triskaidekaphobia. Did you know that hotels not only do not have room 1313, 213, they also don't have the 13th floor? The fear of 13 can be traced back to 14th century when a tarot card representing death was number 13. In the Christian tradition, the Last Supper was also associated with number 13 because of Judas, who's supposed to have betrayed Jesus.
An omen basically is an indication.
An omen is an indication. It's a sign. It may be a warning. It also might be a prophecy of something auspicious, something amazing, a foretelling of what might come in the future. Basically, there are three types of omen. Number one, natural phenomenon. For example, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, coming of a comet, unusual weather pattern, unusual animal behavior. You see your pets or animal behaving in a weird manner. You see birds flying just before a hurricane hits or something. Supernatural events. You see a ghost, you have a vision, you have certain dreams that foretell. And these can predict future occurrences. Or everyday things like, a black cat or certain animals crossed your path, you broke a mirror, the salt spilled, and things like that.
An omen basically is an indication. It means that we look for something in nature. It might be a sound, it might be an aerial phenomenon. For example, when you see two false suns on either side of the sun, it's an indication of rain, according to Brihad Samhita. Means that if you look in the sky and there seems to be three suns, kind of a reflection.
Right.
Which you might see if there was a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So, it was kind of a basic rule of thumb.
I do know that solar eclipse is considered a bad omen, not just in Vedic astrology in India, but in other Eastern cultures as well.
Yes. Eclipses, solar eclipse as well as the lunar eclipse, are times that we want to avoid doing any kind of thing that we want an auspicious, long-lasting effect for.
So what are some of the things that'll happen if somebody goes and looks at the solar eclipse? What is indicated?
Well, looking at the eclipse can lead to many different things. For example, it is said that if a woman, while she is pregnant, looks at the eclipse or goes outside during the solar eclipse in particular, then her child would be born with a visible birthmark, like on the face or on the forehead or something.
Will that affect their destiny and fortune?
No, but some people will consider that having a kind of a blotchy mark, I'm talking about like having a Gorbachev type of birthmark on their head, it's going to be something that people focus on and, that's the person with that really big blotchy birthmark.
But it's generally considered inauspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we would prefer to not go hide from, but we would try to do spiritually beneficial activities during that time, not try to do things that we're expecting to bring us a good return in this world, but things that are more otherworldly benefit.
Growing up in India, people believe in a lot of portents and a lot of omens, science. And because of the British colonial legacy, there's a whole group of people who say, oh, you believe in omens? You're so superstitious and ignorant, and you're so uneducated. Oh, this means you're so uncool, because whatever the Western civilization says, that is correct. And the Westerners, the British, came to India and they told us this is hogwash. That is why omens are hogwash, because the British colonial legacy is deep in India. In fact, only people who can talk in English, unfortunately, people like me, are considered superior. And if you don't speak good English, you're inferiors. It's ridiculous. So I want to tell them, hey, you know what? You think these Angares, these Westerners do not believe in superstition? Guess what? They started it. Here are some examples of omens that were started by the Westerners in the 14th century or even much before that. What are some of the examples of common omens that I've heard? For example, a rainbow is considered a great omen. It's good for you. A butterfly flying into your home is good news. Black cat or a snake is bad luck. Going under a ladder is bad luck. If you hear a dog barking and whining at the same time, it's a bad omen. So it's like you see, all of these most of them are, bad news. However, if lightning happens to your right, it's considered a positive omen. Windy weather, spring or rain in beginning of winter is a bad sign, which makes me wonder. There's always windy weather and bad rain. If there's a rainbow and there's a rain at the same time and the sun is shining, it's very auspicious and is great for weddings. It will bring good luck. In fact, if you were to see a wedding party, that is considered great, seeing a bride and so on. If a person has a mole near the mouth, that is considered great. A broken mirror is considered bad luck in some cultures and really great in others. See, from where I come from, a broken mirror means whatever bad luck you had has been broken. In fact, in Jewish weddings, they will break glass. And in other cultures, they may say broken mirror is bad luck. So in ancient times, omens were numerous, varied, flight of birds, path of sacred animals, and so on. Atul, Krishna, tell us what portents are.
Well, portents are indication of something. So, for example, if I'm going out to do some business, for example, and I see a full pot of water, that's considered to be an auspicious portent. That's an auspicious indication that what I'm going to do should be successful.
So where are you going to find a pot of water in the U.S.? How about a rain? It's raining and a pot is filled with rainwater or something like that, or a bucket or something like that. Does that count?
Yes, it could. The thing is that some of these things are applicable in a particular social milieu, and it's just people don't keep water in pots. You have running water, you have plumbing, and there's usually not a need for it. Or in fact, one will avoid that because an open pot of full water would be a breeding place for mosquitoes. But this is just an example. Now, the thing is that someone who, sees something, they may get an indication that there would be a problem and they might just be on their guard, or they might see an indication of something that says this is likely to be successful. But it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that you approach life with caution, you do things carefully, you pay attention to what you're doing. And always, above all, be mindful of your duty.
In ancient Rome, they believed in omens, they believed in portents, and the kings actually had priests who used to interpret the omens for them. These are the Westerners, my Indian friends. It was being done in Greece, it was being done in ancient Rome. Did you know about this, Pandit?
Oh, absolutely. There were always attempts at divination and trying to understand what is happening in the universe. What's the energy of the world indicating for my success or failure?
And the emperors did that, and that would influence their decisions, if battles that had to be fought. And it actually affected the political landscape of the country. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. The whole, there's not really a conflict between looking at omens and modern science. There isn't.
Really?
No, absolutely not. For example, if I want to look at a weather forecast, I will consult, I might go to weather.com and I might see what's the weather going to be today. And it might be accurate, but there's so much chaos in weather predictions. There's just so much that can happen. It can be very hard, and weather forecasts do change, especially in certain places, like here in Florida, for example. We look at the weather one day and it says, oh, there's no rain for the next 10 days. And then we look at it and 12 hours later, oh, we're going to get a heavy rain tonight.
So you're saying the way we have weather forecasters now is what the priests that used to interpret omens for in the ancient Roman time, or the Vedic astrologers who used to unpack these portents or omens for the kings and people in India. This is kind of like a weather forecast. It may or may not happen, something like that.
Yes, you can say that. But what I'm getting at is that even applying the best known scientific methods, there can still be some chaos in world events and how things unfold. It's very difficult to predict the future with 100% accuracy. And as Heisenberg stated, you can't know the exact position and the exact mass of any particle at any time in the universe.
Pandit Atul, can you give me some examples of some omens, or let's say when a child is born, can there be some inauspicious omens according to Brihad Parashar Shastra, which is the book that most Vedic astrologers consult?
Yes, there are quite a few indications that are given. For example, if a child is born on the Amavasya, or the new moon day, when the moon is not visible, that is considered an inauspicious indication. Also,
But isn't there an exception to the Amavasya, the Mauni Amavasya?
Yes, there is an exception to that. The Moni Amavasya is a special Amavasya, and that has a story related to Lord Shiva.
Oh, can you tell us that story?
Well, after Lord Shiva had lost Sati,
Yeah.
and of course there is the story of Prajapati Daksha doing the yajna, and then when Sati and her husband Shiva attended, Daksha spoke very insultingly of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva just left because he's a very cool, the original cool person, and he said, I don't have to sit here and take this. So he got up and left. So Sati was unhappy because Daksha is her father, and Daksha should not have been so insulting toward Lord Shiva, who is so powerful and has so many amazing qualities. And then Sati again went, and again, Lord Shiva was being insulted. He did not come the second time Prajapati Daksha was performing the yajna. And so she meditated on the fire element, and she spontaneously burst into flames and gave up her body because she felt that I have now heard so much bad speech against my husband and the supremely auspicious Lord Shiva, whose very name means auspicious, and I cannot stay in this body any longer. When, of course, Lord Shiva heard about this,
He's a little bit mad.
a little bit, that is an understatement. He was prepared to
Annihilate the universe.
annihilate the universe. Yes, exactly. Which is his role,
Yeah.
is the annihilation of things. But there was some punishment of the participants and those who tolerated the insults in the arena.
He took a little hair
Jata, one of his matted locks,
and then he threw it on the floor.
and it created a monstrous person called Virabhadra.
Yeah, people do Virabhadrasana in the yoga world.
Yes.
What did Virabhadra do?
Virabhadra went and he cut off the head of Prajapati Daksha. And then he punished various persons like Brigu and Tvashta and others.
What was Brigu? What was done to Brigu?
Brigu had smiled when Shiva was being insulted. So Veerabhadra punished him by shaving off his mustache.
Oh.
Um,
I thought he gave him a goat beard or something.
No. Prajapati Daksha's head was cut off, and then later everyone realized we have made a mistake in offending Lord Shiva, so they prayed to him, and he came and he gave Prajapati Daksha the head of a goat so that the sacrifice could be finished. But you can imagine having the head of a goat on your body is not the ideal thing. So, and also, who is able to do a head transplant?
Head surgery.
With the head of a goat, it would. It is something that, of course, from the perspective of medical science, not possible to do any head transplant, much less put the head of a goat on a human so that they can then continue to say mantras and perform a yajna.
Uh-huh.
But that's something that Lord Shiva was capable of doing. So after that, after all that dust had settled, Lord Shiva was very, very unhappy because he had lost Sati. Sati was not just his wife, she was his Shakti. She was his counterpart. And most importantly, she was the one who was listening to him speaking Harikatha, all these topics about the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he went into silence. Maun Vrat. Maun Vrat means taking the vow of not speaking. Because Sati was not there, and without speaking topics glorifying Shri Hari, Narayan, Vishnu, Krishna, he felt there is nothing that needs to be said. So Mani Amavasya is the Amavasya where he now, Parvati, his consort, who is the material energy personified, has taken birth as the daughter of Himalaya, and now she has come, and she has come in front of him for the first time to hear Harikatha, and he has begun speaking now. And he begins the recitation of the Holy Scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam. So this day is Mani Amavasya, and it is a very special Amavasya.